Imagine standing in a courtroom, watching your wife smile as she tells the judge that your 5-year-old son now calls her boyfriend daddy. That's exactly what happened to Keith, an electrician from Michigan. But here's the thing. That little boy wasn't even his son. And what Keith did next would leave his cheating wife financially destroyed for the rest of her life. Before we dive in, let me ask you something. What would you do if the person you trusted most in the world looked you in the eye and told you your child loves someone else more than you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love stories of justice and karma, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss these incredible tales. Keith was a simple guy. He worked as an electrician, pulling in about $58,000 a year. Not rich, but comfortable. He met Samantha at a community barbecue 8 years ago, and she seemed perfect. Sweet smile, warm laugh, the kind of woman who made you feel like everything would be okay. They got married 6 months later. Right away, Samantha got pregnant with Connor. Keith was over the moon. He'd always wanted to be a dad. He was there for every doctor's appointment, every late-night feeding, every diaper change. That little boy became his whole world. But Samantha changed after Connor was born. She became distant, critical. Nothing Keith did was ever enough. He worked long hours to provide for his family, taking extra electrical contracts on weekends and evenings. When Samantha complained he was never home, Keith worked harder to save money so maybe one day she'd be happy. He paid off her student loans, all $67,000 of them. He covered her car payment, $28,000 total. He even paid down her credit cards, another $12,000. Keith figured if he could just remove her stress, maybe their marriage would get better. It didn't. 5 years into Connor's life, Samantha started seeing Trevor, a gym manager who made $47,000 a year. Keith found out when Connor came home from daycare, asking why Mommy's friend Trevor was always at their house. The divorce papers arrived 3 weeks later, and that's when Samantha made the biggest mistake of her life. What she didn't know was that Keith wasn't just an electrician. He was about to reveal a truth that would destroy everything she thought she knew. The courtroom was packed on the day of their custody hearing. Samantha wore a tight dress and sat close to Trevor, holding his hand like they were some kind of power couple. Keith sat alone on his side, wearing his work clothes, looking tired. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? Someone you built a life with, only to discover it was all a lie? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The judge asked Samantha about custody arrangements. That's when she stood up and delivered the line that would haunt her forever. Your Honor, I think you should know that my 5-year-old son already calls my boyfriend Trevor daddy now. He's more of a father than Keith ever was. The courtroom went silent. Keith's face turned pale, but he didn't move. Samantha continued, her voice dripping with contempt. Connor asks why Daddy Keith doesn't play with him like Daddy Trevor does. Trevor takes him to the park, plays catch, reads to him. Keith just works all the time. Trevor smiled from the gallery, his chest puffed out like he just won something. Samantha's attorney nodded, clearly thinking this testimony would help their case. The judge looked at Keith with something like pity, but Keith's attorney, a sharp woman named Patricia, raised her hand. Your Honor, may I present evidence that's relevant to this testimony? The judge nodded. Patricia pulled out a folder. What happened next would leave the entire courtroom in shock. Stay with me. Your Honor, 3 months ago, my client became suspicious. Connor looked nothing like him. Nothing. The boy had features that reminded Keith of someone else. Someone close to him. Patricia paused, letting the tension build. So Keith conducted a DNA test. She handed papers to the judge. The results show a 99.99% exclusion. Keith is not Connor's biological father. The courtroom erupted. Samantha's face went from smoke to white in seconds. Her attorney jumped up, trying to object, but the judge silenced her with a hand. Patricia wasn't done. Furthermore, Your Honor, we've identified the biological father, Derek Simmons. Keith's best friend of 15 years. Gasps filled the room. The judge demanded order, slamming the gavel 3 times. But wait, it gets so much worse. Little did Samantha know, the truth was about to destroy everything. Patricia continued, Derek has been subpoenaed and is present today. Derek, please stand. A man in the back row stood up, his face red with shame. Derek, is it true that you are Connor's biological father? Derek nodded. Yes. His voice was barely a whisper. And when did your affair with Samantha begin? Patricia asked. Derek swallowed hard. 6 months after she married Keith. The number hit the room like a bomb. Samantha had been cheating on Keith almost from the beginning of their marriage. Did you know Connor was your biological son? Patricia pressed. Derek nodded again. Yes, I know. The judge leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. You knew this child was yours, and you never told your best friend? Derek had no answer. The judge's voice was ice cold. You mean to tell me you let Keith raise your child, pay for everything, believe the boy was his, while you did what exactly? Patricia answered for him. Derek borrowed money from Keith, Your Honor. $45,000 over 5 years in personal loans that Keith never expected to be repaid. Derek used that money to take Samantha on secret weekend trips while Keith worked overtime. The courtroom was in chaos now. People were whispering, pointing, staring at Samantha and Derek like they were monsters. Keith still hadn't moved. He sat there, staring at his hands, looking like a man whose entire world had just collapsed, because it had. For 5 years, he'd loved a child that wasn't his. For 5 years, he'd worked himself to exhaustion. And for what? So his wife could sleep with his best friend and make him look like a fool? But here's what nobody in that courtroom knew except Keith and his attorney. What she said next would change everything. Patricia pulled out another folder. Your Honor, I need to present my client's financial disclosure. The judge nodded, probably expecting to see a standard electrician's income. Patricia began reading. Keith doesn't just work as an electrician, he invests. Over the past 8 years, he has purchased 8 rental properties in commercial areas around the state. The total current value of these properties is $4.7 million. The courtroom exploded again. Samantha's mouth fell open. Trevor looked like he'd been slapped. Even the judge looked surprised. $4.7 million? She repeated. Patricia nodded. Yes, Your Honor. Keith purchased these properties using money from his electrical work and smart investing. He kept his lifestyle modest because he was saving for his son's future. He'd planned to set up trust funds for Connor from the rental income. Samantha started crying, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of rage and regret. She'd just lost a millionaire. Keith had been right there, working quietly, building an empire. And she dethroned it all away for a gym manager making $47,000 a year and a best friend who betrayed him. Patricia wasn't finished. While working overtime to build this financial security, Keith paid $180,000 in child-related expenses over 5 years. Diapers, formula, medical bills, preschool, toys, clothes, everything. Additionally, he saved $89,000 in a dedicated college fund for Connor. He also paid off Samantha's student loans, car loan, and credit cards, totaling $107,000. The numbers kept coming, each one another nail in Samantha's coffin. During this time, Samantha was not only involved with Trevor, but was still occasionally sleeping with Derek as well. Meanwhile, Keith worked extra contracts, saved every penny, and planned for a future with a child that was never biologically his. The judge looked at Samantha with pure disgust. If you love stories where the truth comes out and justice is served, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single story. The judge took a long breath, reviewing the documents in front of her. This is one of the most disturbing cases of deception I've seen in 20 years on the bench. She looked directly at Samantha. You stood in my courtroom and bragged about your son calling another man daddy, weaponizing a child against a man who has given everything for him, knowing full well that child wasn't even his biological son. Samantha tried to speak, but the judge cut her off. I'm not finished. The judge continued. Derek, you watched your best friend sacrifice everything for your biological child and said nothing. You borrowed money from him to fund your affair with his wife. Is that correct? Derek nodded, unable to meet anyone's eyes. The judge shook her head. Shameful. Absolutely shameful. Then she delivered her ruling, and it was savage. Would you stay silent or confront them if you discovered this kind of betrayal? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Keith owes $0 in child support. He is not the biological father and has been the victim of paternity fraud. Samantha, you are ordered to reimburse Keith for 5 years of child expenses. $180,000 plus the college fund of $89,000. Total reimbursement, $269,000. Samantha gasped. Additionally, Derek owes Keith $45,000 in unpaid personal loans. Full repayment within 18 months or face garnishment. The judge wasn't done. DNA testing results will be provided to Connor when he reaches an age-appropriate time so he knows the truth about his parentage. Keith, you are granted full relinquishment of parental rights if you choose. Keith stood. His voice was steady but broken. I relinquish my rights, Your Honor. Samantha jumped up. No, Keith, please. You love Connor. You can't just abandon him. Keith finally looked at her. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse, what he said next left everyone speechless. Stay with me. I love that boy with everything I had, Keith said, his voice cracking. Every single day, I woke up thinking about how to give him a better life. I worked until my hands bled. I'm asleep. I gave up everything I wanted because I thought I was building something for my son. You took that from me. You and Derek, you let me love a child that wasn't mine. Let me bond with him. Let me plan his entire future, knowing the whole time it was a lie. I can't look at him without seeing your betrayal. I can't be his father anymore. You destroyed that. The courtroom was silent except for Samantha's sobbing. Trevor, the boyfriend who was supposed to be this amazing father figure, stood up and walked straight out of the courtroom. Turns out when he learned Connor wasn't Keith's biological son, and that Samantha had been lying to everyone for years, he wanted nothing to do with her. He'd wanted a ready-made family, not a woman who committed paternity fraud and owed hundreds of thousands of dollars. Samantha tried calling after him, but he was gone. And one afternoon, she'd lost her husband, her boyfriend, her best friend's wife, who had also been her friend, and nearly $300,000 she didn't have. Derek's wife, who'd been Keith's friend too, divorced Derek within 3 months and got full custody of their 2 legitimate children. Derek's life fell apart. He lost his job after the scandal went public in their small town. He ended up paying irregular child support to Samantha and only got supervised visitation because of his unstable employment. Meanwhile, Keith did something nobody expected. He sold all 8 of his rental properties. After taxes and fees, he netted $3.2 million in profit. Then he disappeared. 6 months later, people heard he'd moved to Colorado and started an electrical contracting business. That business is now worth $8 million. Keith married an architect he met through work. They have 2 biological children together, a daughter and a son. Keith finally got the family he'd always dreamed of, the honest one he deserved. Connor is 12 years old now. Samantha told him that Keith abandoned him, that his real dad just walked away one day and never looked back. She never told him about the paternity fraud, about Derek being his biological father, about how she'd lied to everyone. Connor grew up thinking the man who de-loved him and sacrificed everything was a deadbeat who didn't care. The truth is sealed in court documents waiting for when Connor turns 18. Samantha works 2 jobs now, a receptionist during the day and a waitress at night. She still owes Keith $89,000 because she defaulted on the payment plan after only making a few payments. Her parents had to mortgage their house to help her pay the initial court judgment. They barely speak to her now. Trevor married someone else and has a baby on the way. Derek lives in a studio apartment and sees Connor twice a month under supervision. And Samantha? She scrolls through social media sometimes and sees pictures of Keith with his new family, his successful business, his beautiful home in the mountains. She sees everything she could have had if she'd just been faithful, just been honest, just been a decent person. Here's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just hurt the person you betray, it destroys futures. Keith had planned to give Connor everything: a college education fully paid for, a trust fund, a future without financial worry. Connor lost all of that because of his mother's lies. Keith lost 5 years of his life loving a child built on deception. And Samantha? She lost a man who would have moved mountains for her, a fortune that could have changed her life, and the respect of everyone who knew her. All because she couldn't stay faithful. All because she thought a gym manager with a nice smile was worth more than a hardworking electrician who was quietly building an empire. The moral of this story is simple. Never underestimate the quiet ones. The people who work hard, keep their heads down, and don't brag about what they have are often the ones with the most to offer. And never, ever weaponize a child. Samantha thought bragging about Connor calling Trevor daddy would hurt Keith and help her case. Instead, it triggered the revelation that destroyed her entire life. Karma doesn't always come fast, but when it comes, it's thorough. If you were in Keith's position, what would you do? Could you walk away from a child you'd raised for 5 years, even knowing the truth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you love stories where cheaters get exactly what they deserve and the good guys finally win, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Smash that like button if you think Keith made the right choice. And tell me in the comments, do you think Connor deserves to know the truth now, or should he wait until he's 18? I read every single comment. Thanks for watching, and remember, the truth always comes out eventually. Always.